Good morning. Welcome to August 24th, 2021. This is Chad with Drawn and Cornered. Great stories today. We got a bunch of really good ones. First off, as we talked about yesterday, Pfizer has been fully approved by the FDA. Now, why this is important is not because it's necessarily groundbreaking that they got fully approved. We kind of expected this. Other countries have already done it. It was in the bag. But because of the full approval now, mandates make a lot more sense, are a lot more palatable, are a lot more legally justifiable. So Joe Biden went on TV yesterday and asked American companies to demand that their employees and maybe even their guests be vaccinated. This is his push to try and get more people vaccinated. It doesn't necessarily seem like a malicious push. I am a little bit curious where this sits on that authoritarian mindset of asking companies to mandate something that the government can't legally do, or if they can legally do it, it's at least a little more precarious. So that's a little dodgy, but we'll see. We'll see where that comes out. We'll see how many companies do it, or if companies are resistant to the idea of kind of pushing away customers for something that they don't believe, or if they do believe, maybe just don't want to make it a point, kind of tossing that ball back in government's hands. We'll see what they choose to do. On the Afghanistan front, things are continuing to get just kind of really ugly out there. It seems as though the Biden administration is recognizing the errors that they've made. As we talked about yesterday, British and French troops were going into Kabul to retrieve citizens and bring them back to the airport so they can get them extradited. Americans were not doing that. Seemingly that has changed. So troops are being sent out so that they can grab people. They're being airlifted out of different areas in Kabul so that they can bring them back to the airport and get them taken care of. Now, the problem with this is that because of this kind of back and forth and all of the communication issues, a lot of our NATO allies have lost confidence. They talked about leaders from Italy, from France, from Germany, from the UK, really kind of hammering America a little bit on their response to this and dealing with the withdrawal, and saying that they've lost confidence in our ability to pull up our end of the bargain when it comes to security. And this seems like America diminishing on the global stage, which was something that Trump got blamed for a lot. And I think rightfully so, in the sense that nobody really liked Trump. I think he's kind of a brash, arrogant guy that nobody wants to be around. But as far as the country themselves and the things that they said they would do, that seemed pretty well intact. Maybe that's changing. There's going to be a phone call today, or a Zoom meeting of some sort, with the G7, the group of 7 countries, all going to be talking to Joe Biden about what's going on, what they expect in the future, how this is going to be handled, whether or not they can depend on America for security interests. So again, we'll see how that goes, but that is definitely something to watch for, because if that changes, if that power dynamic changes, that could be a significant difference in how we handle global politics and international relations, and essentially being the security force for the world. That could all be in flux at that point. The last thing we need to talk about, and what may end up being one of the more important aspects of today, this week, and the coming months, is the infrastructure bills that are coming down the pipe. Now, a bipartisan infrastructure bill was passed through the Senate. There's 2 of them. One of them is bipartisan. That's the one that already passed through the Senate, is in the House right now. And one of them is completely partisan, is only going to be able to be passed through reconciliation, which demands a smaller majority in order to be able to get. You only have to get 51 votes, 50 plus the tie, or 51 votes, essentially. So the way that this is happening right now, that's getting really interesting, is that the bipartisan bill is in the House. Conservative or moderate liberals have said they want to get that passed. They want to get it passed. They want to get it on Joe Biden's desk before dealing with the partisan reconciliation bill, which is a lot of things that sit outside of traditional infrastructure. Now, this gets really interesting because the progressives want the exact opposite. They want both of these bills tied together. They want to be able to vote on both of them together, that if one doesn't pass, the other is going to pass, and if the other doesn't pass, the one doesn't pass. And they're just not, they want to kind of hold the 2 of them hostage together, so that you can't get the bipartisan bill unless you bring up the other for passage. this is pitting the moderates and the progressives of that party side by side pretty starkly. Now, Joe Biden has seemingly voiced support for being on the progressive side. He wants both bills on his desk at the same time, both voted. I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know if that's a possibility. It seems like these moderates are sticking pretty hard. Now, this all comes down to what's going to happen in 22. And a lot of these moderates recognize that their constituency is not looking forward to a completely partisan $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill that is not really infrastructure in any way. The progressives want to try and get as much done as they possibly can. They feel like this is their go time. They've got majorities in everything that they need in order to be able to do this, plus the presidency. So they want to push through everything as much as possible. I don't know what that war is going to look like. Nancy Pelosi apparently had a little bit of issue with getting everybody in line to make this happen. Whether she didn't realize what the moderates were going to do or how hard the progressives were going to be, I can't say. But ultimately, it seems like it's stagnated. It's stagnated for a couple of weeks now, and this could be a death blow for either one of these bills or both of these bills. And so keep your eyes on that. That's going to be something there's going to be a lot of wrangling behind. Those 9 have a lot of power. Those 9 House reps have a lot of power right now. And maybe they're just looking for a little extra give for their constituency. Maybe they're looking to actually legitimately, hey, we're not voting on that unpopular partisan bill until we get the popular bipartisan one done. Like we want to get that out of the way first, make sure that we've got something in our quiver to go to war with in 22. We're not doing the other one, but we'll see. I will keep you updated. If you have any questions, comments, definitely leave them down below. Subscribe so you can get your daily news source, and we'll give you a quick rundown of how you can look at it, what's going to be happening, everything that's going to be out there on Drawn and Cornered. Thank you again, and I'll see you tomorrow.